Hey everybody, Listener here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today in NBA 2K23 Next Gen, going for the Net Gain achievement. This is to finish a game where you turn the ball over less than 10 times than your opponent. Before you get started, I'm going to recommend you head into the features so you can adjust your sliders. Make sure you go to sliders and then make sure you crank everything in your favor. Make sure you set it to user and then just crank everything up to 100, and then make sure you go over to CPU by hitting any one of the triggers and then setting all of those to 0. This will ensure that you have a super duper easy time with the game. And of course, if you don't want to sit through the entirety of a game, we can also go into our settings and then crank the quarter length down. We're going to set it to 1 minute so we can get through the game as quickly as possible, because we do have to make it to the end of the game, and might as well have the whole game take place in only 4 minutes rather than the full 24 minutes. So make sure you just set it to that, and then we're going to back out. This has to be done in a play now game, in a quick play game. If you don't want to put up with the AI, you can also plug in a second controller, which makes things even easier, so we can just play against them. And then make sure you pick your team and then get into the game. So there's going to be one easy way to get this achievement, especially if you're using 2 controllers, and that's to first get the ball on the second controller first. So the controller helping out gets the first possession. Make sure you have them turn it over. Easiest way to do that is to just run out of bounds. So just make sure you step off the court, and then the ball should be turned over, and then we could start building on our turnovers on our second controller. So in order to not turn the ball over on the main controller, which is the one getting the achievement, we're going to have to end the possession in a basket attempt. So make sure you try to score thanks to those sliders in your favor. As long as you are pretty close to the basket, you should be able to make it every single time. Even if you miss, as long as you make an attempt at a basket, that should not count for a turnover. And then just get the ball back on the second controller and then just turn it over again. Again, the easiest way is to just run it out of bounds, and then just make sure you keep this back and forth until you get to a 10 turnover deficit. So it should be pretty easy. Just make sure you are constantly scoring on the first controller, and make sure you just constantly turn the ball over on the second controller. You can get this done in a quarter, if not 2. But unfortunately, you do have to do this for the entirety of the game. So once you get your 10, feel free to keep the back and forth going if you really want to, if you're that bored and just want to keep scoring on the main controller. But you can also just run the clock out if you want to do that as well. It's going to be up to you on how you want to spend the rest of the game. Just make sure you keep that turnover deficit at 10 or more, and you should be good for the achievement once the time expires. But you do have to make sure you keep this up for all 4 quarters, and then hopefully once you get to the end of the game, you should be good for the achievement. So just make sure you keep this up. If you can make it to the end of the game and turn the ball over 10 fewer times than your opponent, you should be good for the achievement. There it is. This one's going to be for 15 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.